أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace, the greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Indeed, it is a pleasure to be alive and to have the opportunity to congregate in the way that we do, that we can congregate for the purpose of remembering our Creator. And so the Quran speaks of remembering our Creator, the importance of remembering our Creator. See, what is the opposite of remembering? The opposite of remembering is forgetfulness or forgetting. And so, until you remember, you have forgotten. You understand? And so if you've forgotten, you might not remember that you don't remember. You might not become aware that you don't remember. And so the Quran is guiding us. It's a guide. When somebody guides you to remember, then that is a guide. To remember your Creator. The Quran says, if you remember Allah, Allah remembers you. If you fail to remember Allah, then yours will be a depressed life. It will be a spiritually unexpressed life. You live with a diseased heart. The Quran speaks of certain people. They say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't believe in Allah in the last day. In their hearts is a disease, and they are left to stray. See? In their hearts is a disease, and they are left to stray. The Quran says it is a book of guidance to guide humanity in the healing of the heart. The heart. And the healing of the heart is what the Quran is talking about, bringing to Allah a purified heart. That only those who bring to Allah a purified heart, it will avail them, it will be beneficial to them. Those who are concerned with wealth and business and their children and families in this world, who are attached to the life of this world, who are deeply identified with this world. And from my looks of it, there's many people who only focus about this world, even in the area of like personal development and all that, the success training for this world. This world becomes successful by achieving something. Get something, get more money, get more fame, get more likes, get more, But really, that's all an obsession with the temporary life of this world, And the purpose of this world is for us to remember our Creator. That doesn't mean we cannot, to purify your heart doesn't mean that you do not appreciate what you have and what you can have and what you can live, because Allah tells us in the Quran, claim your portion in this world. There is a part of this world for us to claim, to live in a way that is receptive of the favors of Allah and to live naturally. To live enjoying a natural experience of life. Allah put love and compassion in our hearts that we may dwell with each other in tranquility. We can be with each other and enjoy the mutual caring that human beings can extend to each other. Through the mercy of Allah, we can extend mutual caring to each other. Imagine if we couldn't. That would be cruel. Allah is Ar-Rahman, the compassionate, the merciful. And Allah has given to us the opportunity as human beings, various opportunities, and one of them is to be compassionate and loving to our partners. About 2 weeks ago, we spoke of a woman whose husband is, as she says, I can't understand how it's true, learned in deen, learned in the ways of religion, but, he's abusive to her for the past 15 years or so in many different ways. If the Quran says Allah has put love and compassion in our hearts, that we may take partners from among ourselves and dwell in tranquility, there's love and compassion there. The man that is learned in deen is not appreciating the fact that we can be compassionate and merciful to each other, and how wonderful that is to be with a spouse that has compassion and love for you, and how wonderful to be a person who can have love and compassion for your spouse. This is what's possible for us. Shukr to Allah. I value that. Imagine if we couldn't be loving and compassionate to each other. That would be cruel. That would be just cruel. Allah is the compassionate, the merciful, Ar-Rahman. See, I am on a process of purifying my heart. Bring to Allah a purified heart, the Quran says. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah, the purified heart experiences security. You see, when you remember Allah, hearts experience assurance. Hearts experience peace and tranquility. A heart that is healed experiences peace, tranquility, assurance, reassurance. I can tell you from my own personal experience, because I too said I believed in Allah in the last day, but in my heart was a disease, and I was left to stray, and that disease was expanded, like what we are hearing, about people. Last week we had a person who contacted me and was speaking about, being in a state of, let's say, hypocrisy. So much focus on religion, but very little focus on our universal creator. The Quran says, those who remember Allah, Allah will remember them. This is what I'm talking about. If you become cognizant of Allah, you'll experience assurance in your heart. And that man said to me in his messages that he used to feel when Allah was watching him, like Allah is watching him. The Quran doesn't tell us, that Allah is watching us in the sense of like be afraid and threatened and vulnerable. Somebody is keeping an eye on you. You get what I mean? That we are to be aware that Allah is watching us. It tells us rather that we are to be aware of Allah's mercy. We are to be aware of Allah. We are to humble ourselves and become aware of Allah's mercy. Allah's merciful nature. Ar-Rahman. You see, when a person who thinks they know about religion, Islamic religion, thinks that being close to God is to be threatened and afraid about God, of course we are to be cautious. We are to be cautious of how we live and how we die, for that's how we will be raised up again. You've got to be cautious. Caution is not the same thing as feeling threatened. Those who live in fear of Allah, the Quran says the friends of Allah, they'll never fear, they'll never grieve. It speaks of people who are close to Allah here in this world through our death and beyond, how they won't be questioned. You understand? If you're close to Allah, how do you get close to Allah is the question. You understand? Is it by living in terror and fear of Allah? Because the Quran tells us those who fail to recognize Allah as merciful, there is a Satan that is attached to them. If you fail to recognize Allah as merciful, a Satan is attached to you, that then you'll be influenced by the Satan, and on the day of accountability you would say, cannot that Satan rather be punished than me? Woe, would that Satan not be away from me from the west east to the east in distance like I wish? I had nothing to do with that entity that was controlling me or tempting me or influencing me or holding me back, whatever it is. But notice, those who fail to recognize the mercy of Allah, and so now compare that to live in fear of Allah. These are mutually exclusive. They mutually exclusive. Revere Allah, recognize His power. The Quran says the heavens and the earth were created for us to recognize the power of Allah. That we were given favor and privileged, that we may recognize that Allah is merciful and generous and giving, and that Allah has given to us that we may be grateful. How can you, when you're feeling Allah is watching you and you're scared and you're feeling threatened and you're trying to be perfect and you're acting holy moly, maybe I should grow a beard, maybe I should, just do this and do that and say this and say that, then you'll know I'm saying this and saying that. It's a very immature, spiritually immature understanding. You get what I mean? We are talking about spiritual maturity. We're talking about bringing to Allah a purified heart. That while we are alive, we have an opportunity to bring to Allah a purified heart. We can either remain with the diseased heart, and we can remain astray, and that diseased heart will be intensified as we will be continued to be left to stray, you see? Or we can actually draw closer to Allah, because that's what the Quran says. Draw closer, bow and draw closer, adore your Creator. Sujood, the adoration, prostrate and draw closer to your Creator. Living in fear of God doesn't help you one bit, because you're failing to recognize Ar-Rahman, the compassion, the mercy. You understand? You're failing to recognize the purpose that the heavens and the earth were created, that we may recognize the power of Allah. When you recognize the power of Allah, you feel assured. When you recognize the privileging of Allah, you feel reassured. See, when you become aware of Allah, you really become aware. Not those who think they're aware of Allah because they're living in fear of Allah and feeling threatened, but still their hearts are in a disease. They've got all this information in their minds, but no awareness of Allah. In their hearts is a disease, they act in a very perverted way. There are many people today, and I don't blame them, because this is the society we live in, where there is no guiding people to Allah and His mercy, guiding people to spiritual maturity. There's no teaching generally out there in the public on Iman, Tawheed in the real sense, teaching people as grown-up adults to become cognizant. This is why that man, and many like him, I was one of them too, not happy to say that, but I'm happy to report that I'm no longer like that, had a diseased heart and have diseased hearts, and then they don't know compassion and love for their people. They don't know. It's cruelty. The Quran says, remember the Quran says, woe to those who stand in prayer, but their hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. You get what I mean? Here is people who stand in prayer 5 times a day, and their hearts are full of cruelty to the people that are closest to them. Get what I mean? So don't ever think that somebody stands in prayer, oh, they're very close to God. Because Quran speaks of those who stand in prayer, but whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. Woe to them. Get what I mean? Don't say, people say, oh, I believe in Allah and the last day. But the Quran says they lie to themselves thinking they lie to Allah. They lie to themselves and they lie to others thinking they lie to Allah. But they don't lie to Allah. In their hearts is a disease. See? And that disease is expanded as they are left to stray, because they won't be guided. You get what I mean? They're not into guidance. They're not into guidance. They think they're being guided because they've got all this ritual expertise. I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and I know my Maulana Guru taught me right and that Maulana Guru is wrong, my Guru is right, this Guru is wrong. But there's no humility. There's no humility to presence Allah. You see, the worship of Allah is to presence Allah in your awareness. Allah consciousness is not live feeling threatened and afraid, because that's how people who don't know Allah live, feeling threatened and afraid. They feel they have to appease the gods. You know what I mean? They have to appease the gods. Allah is free of need. Allah has given us existence and created us to exist in this world through our death and beyond. Allah has created us to live as human beings, the highest life forms on earth, given us status and standing. Allah has created us that we may submit and draw closer to Him. Imagine if we couldn't draw closer to our Creator. I mean, the Quran says right at the beginning, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. Thee alone do we worship. Not we turn to people and things, and we presence other people, we presence things and people in the world. Thee alone do we worship. That means we presence you. We become aware of your presence. We have an awareness of you and your nature, the all-powerful, the all-privileging, the one who has given us the opportunity to live pleasant, pleasing, and naturally pleasurable life in this world through our death and beyond. We can be in awe of the greatness of Allah. We can be in adoration of His grace upon us, Ar-Rahman. And we can be in appreciation of His gifts, countless gifts given to us. See, we can, as human beings, we have the potential to humble ourselves and withdraw our power projections from the created world. This is what happened to Adam and Eve, and the children of Adam and Eve, lost in the worldly life, not presencing God. But guidance will come to those and to whom guidance comes, and those who receive the guidance, and that guidance is to remember the authority of God. Remember God, the one only autonomous authority, there is no other. You get what I mean? And so human beings can either remain identified with the earthly existence. We presence people, things, and experiences. We focus on our little lives and making sure we're okay, And if you do that, you'll be selfish. If you do that, you won't really become aware of the selfless nature of our Creator, the giving nature of our Creator. You see, we have been given a gift, human beings on the planet. And that is to become aware of our Creator and establish a relationship of submission with our Creator. Now, most people don't know what that means, especially religious folk, as strange as it sounds. The religious people don't understand what it means to establish a relationship of submission with our Creator. They don't get it. They think if you were a little boy and girl, and when you were a little boy and girl, and you learned these things as a little boy and girl, that you must do this and say this and, this and that and this and that and do this so many times and don't do that and do this. And if they think the more ritualistic you are, that's what it's about. But it doesn't say that. It says those who are aware of the Creator, those who bring to Allah a purified heart, those who remember. Human beings can remain in this planet, and they can remain in a state of forgetfulness, in a fallen state of forgetfulness. They can remain denying Allah. It's called kufr. Like, where's Allah? We can't see Him, we've never seen Him. You know what I mean? Do you think there's Allah? Do you think there's accountability? Do you think there's a last day? But our bodies die. Our bodies die. And then they go into the soil, and within days and weeks, they can start decomposing, and the bodies go back to dust and sand. Do you really think, we never saw God, do you really think we're going to be accountable? Most people are deniers of Allah in the last day. Accountability, you see. There's no God, and there's no accountability. And they live like that. And then other people are associators. They think, something in this world has power. Somebody in this world has power. Somebody here is an authority. Something here is going to make me feel okay. Iyaka na'budu, thee alone do we presence, we worship. We focus on you, and we withdraw our attention from people and things. At least 5 times a day we focus on you, forgetting about people and things, even forgetting us, and we focus on you. We stop forgetting Allah, our universal Creator, and we focus on Allah. With excessive focus, strong feeling, exclusive attention is for Allah. You get what I mean? We stop focusing on this world and on ourselves and other people and things. At least 5 times a day, the Prophet guided us to, submit. That identity, that I, this world, me, I'm not okay, I'm not happy, I need this, I need that, what about me, what about what the people I care about, oh no, this and that that attachment to this world. You get what I mean? Iyaka na'budu, Thee alone do we presence. We recognize Your presence. We praise You as we become aware of who You are to us, what You are to us, Your wonderful nature. To You belong the most beautiful names. You are our creator, our cause and continuer. You are our carer and considerer. You are our champion and cherisher. You alone do we presence. Do You alone we become aware of Your presence. Before our own presence and before anybody and anything's presence, for Your presence is the unique presence, the supreme presence, the presence with a capital P. We are a presence that is created presence. We are apparent, we came into existence, but Allah is the unique and supreme that always was, is and will always be, independent truly, beyond anything we know and can know, whose greatness we'll never fully comprehend. We don't have that ability. You understand? We can presence our Creator before we presence ourselves and other people. Our Creator is the actual. We are the apparent. Our Creator is the real. We are the virtual. This world is a virtual world. Our Creator is permanent. We are temporary. The personality that I am, the body that I have, the roles that I have, the areas of my life, if I'm a teacher, I have students, that is temporary. That is only because of my Creator, that I am and have a physical body in a physical world, that I wake up every day and experience myself in this physically focused world. It's because of my Creator. It's because my Creator, the power of God, the presence of God, the system that God has created that sustains us, the will of God, that I am, not because of me or anybody. I am a father, I am a sibling, I'm a teacher, I am whatever I am, because of God. Before me and my temporary existence as a person in this world, having a body, there's God who always was, is, and who designed this world and favored us. I'm a favored creation of God. You get what I mean? Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Thee alone do we turn to. We worship You. We presence You. You are our refuge. In the awareness of You and Your greatness, Your graciousness, in the awareness of Your gifts, we are the ones who, as we presence You, we are in awe of You. Where's the fear? We are in awe of You. We are adoring You and Your gracious nature. Where's the fear? We are appreciating what You have given to us, created us, distinguished from other life forms on earth. We can reason. Where's the fear? Where's the threat? I don't feel threatened when I'm in awe of my Creator because I'm presencing Allah. I'm aware. I'm not, He's watching me. He's watching me. I'm living in fear of somebody being a voyeur, watching me. You know what I mean? I am, in a sense, I'm in a sense spiritually observing, watching, becoming more aware of my Creator. You know what I mean? Those who are living in fear of Allah, watching them, are not watching in the direction of Allah. You know what I mean? They're living in fear and dread. That's why their hearts are diseased. They're not remembering Allah. They are not remembering. It would be cruel if we couldn't remember Allah. But we can. How many of us are grateful for the privilege that we human beings can remember Allah, that we can submit, we can have a relationship with our Creator? I am happy now that I'm aware that Allah is my benefactor. You see, when you have a relationship of submission with Allah, you draw closer to Allah. You're not looking for what you think in the world will benefit you, or who you think in the world is going to benefit you, or you trying to benefit you. You're aware that the benefit of Allah is unique. You can't benefit yourself the way Allah has benefited you. Nobody can benefit you. You become happy now. You get what I mean? You're like, I'll be happy when somebody gives me more. I'll be happy when I have more. I'll be happy when I can get me more. I'm happy. I'm shakuran. The Quran says Satan stands on the path and renders the people ungrateful. These people who deny Allah, they are people who associate partners with Allah. And the people who say they believe in Allah and they don't, they're hypocrites. They all are in a fallen state. They have not remembered Allah. They're all the same. The kuffar, the mushrik, and the munafiq are all the same. They have failed to remember Allah. They have failed to be humble before their Creator. They have failed to recognize the authority of Allah. They have failed to recognize Allah as worthy of awe and adoration and appreciation. They have failed to experience being happy with Allah's giving to them now. That's how you know the person has no iman, because they have not submitted. They're not saying, what a wonderful gift you've given me as a human being to reason and to reflect and ponder. Because that's what the Quran says. This is a book for those who reason, reflect and ponder. Most of these munafiqs, the people who say they believe but they don't want to use their reason, and they don't want to reflect and ponder. They just say, tell me what to say, tell me what to do, I'll do it. They follow their gurus. They're not thankful that Allah, you created me a human being. You gave me the ability to reason. You gave us the guidance of the Quran. The guidance of the Quran is to purify our hearts. That we all start off with the heart impure. We all start off with a heart impure. People are not really happy with their relationship with their Creator, because they don't have a relationship with their Creator. Those of us who have been prostrating and drawing closer, we have submitted. We have submitted. And we are really thankful that Allah is the one who handles everything for us. We don't have to handle anything. And what He does for us, we can't do for ourselves, and nobody can do for us. We have our relationship with Allah. How wonderful. We feel assured with Allah. Allah is sufficient for us. The Quran says it repeatedly. Put your faith and trust in Allah. Allah is sufficient for the believer. Put your trust in Allah. Who can trust? People living in fear of Allah, feeling threatened, underdeveloped spiritually. They haven't submitted. They haven't drawn closer to Allah. You think they can put their trust in Allah? When they focus on Allah, they got diseased hearts. Oh, help me, help me, help me. Please, please. They start begging and all that. So you got to beg. You got to beg. I am happy. The Quran says if you invoke Allah, He will surely respond, except for those that are too arrogant to be humble. Well, guess what? I'm no longer arrogant. I am humble. There is no power but the one power. That power is beyond what my body can see, my mind can think, and the roles can be involved in. There is that one who gave me my body, gave me life on earth, who gave me my mind and reason, who gave me my roles that I play. I focus on Allah before I focus from me, and before I focus on others and this world. I submit. Allah has guided me to submit. The Quran says if you believe in Allah, He will guide your heart. Here we go again. He will guide your heart. If you believe in Allah, He will guide your heart. This is all true. The people are not realizing, they know different from other people. You see, the hypocrite is not really different from the non-believer and the associator. They're not really different. They stand in prayer, but their hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. Their hearts are diseased. They say they believe in Allah in the last day, but their hearts are diseased. They haven't really admitted that all our hearts are diseased, and we all require guidance so that we may purify the diseased hearts. The people are not interested in their hearts and the state of their hearts. They're not interested. They're interested in being right. in being righteous. We are right, we are right. We got the right, Maulana Guru. They got the wrong Maulana Guru. We have Allah, the believer has Allah. The Quran says, claim refuge in Allah from Satan the accursed. It doesn't say claim refuge in any other human being. You see? So, there are people. I want to use this as an analogy. Following thing. When you live as an associator, as a denier, if you're kuffar, if you're mushrik, and if you are a hypocrite, you will not really remember Allah. You will not really feel happy that you have the ability to experience the connection with Allah. You will not be happy that the relationship that Allah is unique. Allah has given us. Allah has given us our beings and our lives and people in our lives and this world and our existence. You won't be happy about that. See, ingratitude. If you don't recognize the power of Allah, if you don't trust in Allah, if you're not thankful, if you're not grateful, that is indication that you worship Satan. You understand? If you use enmity, animosity in your heart, if you behave in ways that are bad, if you're not really being the best of creation on the planet, it means you're worshipping Satan. The people who are deniers, associators, and hypocrites, they worship Satan. They don't worship Allah. They may say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't. In their hearts is a disease. They are astray, and they are left to stray, and that disease is expanded. So who is the person that is winning here? The one who remembers Allah, who actually is appreciative that human beings can have a relationship with Allah, the one who draws closer to Allah and asks Allah to hold them close to Him, the one who is prepared to go beyond them and their thinking, to go beyond them and their gurus' thinking, and to go beyond other human beings' thinking, that there's no authority. Even the prophets and messengers had to submit. And even the prophets and messengers said they have no knowledge that Allah has. And the prophets and messengers worshipped Allah and turned to Allah for guidance. You get what I mean? Who are the people who are winning? Who are the people? The Quran says they are losers. The deniers, the hypocrites, they are liars. They are liars. They lie. They're self-deceivers. You see, they have this big show of religiosity, but their hearts are diseased. They're not really feeling happy now. That the benefit that Allah is to me, I can't be to me, nobody can be to me. And Allah has given me the ability to live in a way that benefits me, my body and my life. I can live progressively and constructively. Basically what I'm saying is, the fact that we can live with Iman in our hearts. Remember what the Quran says, don't say you're a believer, for faith has not entered into your heart. Rather say you are submissive in religion. You have embraced a religion. I'm not saying there's no value in the religion, you know what I mean? But he says, don't say you're a believer, for faith has not entered into your hearts. Rather say you are one who is submissive in religion. So people are not interested in the Quran as a guidance to healing the diseases of their hearts. They want to take it and make it right and wrong, good and bad, as the people of Moses went astray, sticking to the letter of the law and they've forgotten its spirit. They became ritual experts, but not in Islam and living. Islam is a way of living. Not I know what's right and wrong. In fact, if anybody really knows anything, it's that only Allah knows. We cannot know. I can't know, you can't know, no human being can know. But Allah guides us to be aware. I can be aware and I can share my awareness with you. You can be aware that Allah has guided you to awareness. And, the Prophet was guided to awareness and he shared his awareness with us. And other prophets too. But we can't know. You see, people don't understand this. They think they know. And they think their people know. Even the Prophet wasn't arrogant like that. They're not humble. The people are not humbling themselves that we are the creation. Only Allah is. And Allah knows. They're not being aware of Allah because they're not really wanting to presence Allah. They're not really wanting to worship Allah. They want to do rituals. You understand? They want to act like this, do like that, show like this, grow the beard, this, that, that. This is about really being like the Prophet. Really being. The Prophet wasn't, let's do rituals and, secretly, let's abuse our wives. The Prophet wasn't like that. That's not the sunnah of the Prophet. You get what I mean? So, when you really are awakening, it's when guidance comes to you that your heart is diseased. I had to admit my heart was diseased. If I didn't admit my heart was diseased, you can't progress. You can fill up your mind with all these ideas. And I'll do this and I'll do that because I want to be right and I don't want to be wrong. Got to submit. Got to submit. It's not about you being right and good. And it's about Allah and His guidance to us. It's about Allah and His mercy to us. It's about Allah inviting us out of the darkness into the light. It's about Allah giving us the opportunity to release the diseases in our hearts, to actually purify our hearts, to be among the humble, to be among those who are in awe of our Creator, who are adoring the greatness and graciousness, who are appreciating the gifts, who feel secure now when they remember Allah, who turn to Allah. You remember what the Quran said? It says there are those, they only turn to Allah when there's a problem. And if they are not answered, they feel despondent, like it's the end of the world. They don't turn to Allah basically in that feeling of that security with Allah. That Allah is sufficient for us. That whatever is happening currently is not a big deal. They don't have patience. These people that I'm talking about, no different from the deniers, no different from the associators, because they don't feel spiritually well. There's no patience, there's no compassion, there's no love, because they're not aware of Allah's patience with us. They're not aware of Allah's love and compassion with us. They're not aware. They're not Allah aware. If you were aware of Allah, you would realize He knows we're all in the darkness. He's giving us the light. He is the forgiving. He's saying, come into the light. Don't act like you are in the light. Imagine a caterpillar. I was giving you an analogy and I'm going to stop with this. Imagine a caterpillar. Human beings are, when they've got a diseased heart, they're in a caterpillar state. And when guidance comes to them, and they go through this learning, this allows their expansion of awareness and experiencing. They go through a transformation and they become a butterfly. A believer is operating very differently from a human being who is a denier, associate, and a hypocrite. The hypocrites are caterpillars like the deniers and the associators, but they have a religious identity. You get what I mean? Imagine a caterpillar looking a certain way, speaking a certain way, dressing a certain way, and you say, no, we're different from the other caterpillars. You're still a caterpillar. You still got a diseased heart. There's still perversion. Until your heart is addressed by drawing closer to Allah. And there are many obstacles that keep people not getting closer to Allah, and the primary one is the failure to submit. The failure to submit, I can't know. Only Allah knows. No, I know, we right. Presencing your own self as knowing, that's bad. Allah alone is knowing. Presence Allah as the all-knowing. Don't presence yourself as the all-knowing. Be humble that Allah may guide your heart. Don't presence other human beings as knowing. We take no gods but God. When you submit and you draw closer to Allah, you will go through a transformation. Your heart will be purified. You won't be that Muslim-looking caterpillar, just like everybody else, but having a religious identity. You will be beyond an identity. You will be an actual believer through a process of submission. I've got more to tell you. Inshallah, Allah gives me the opportunity next week to continue with this. We'll stop there for now. All praise, glory, and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.